I think the idea in choosing the pieces that we chose for this story, and for me the idea of couture in its entirety is about individuality, and that's both the individuality of the customers who are paying through the nose to have things individually made for them, but also the individual identity of the different couture houses. I don't think you can talk about trends in couture. I think if there are movements that kind of unite different houses, it's not because people are hankering after a popular view, it's because there's a collective shift. And this Schiaparelli piece is very much about individuality. I think Schiaparelli's always been about individuality, about the individuality of Elsa Schiaparelli, who was the source of inspiration for Christian Lacroix's one-off collection that he presented last July for the house, which was the first since 1954, but also kind of individuality of expression and the idea of doing something outside of what's going on in the fashion sphere at any given time. In 1920s, when she began to work, there was this move towards surrealism, which was a move in the art world, and she was really the first to reflect that in fashion. It was, for me, a contrast to what Chanel had been doing, which was about modernising and about simplifying couture, and Elsa Schiaparelli started to kind of complicate it again. And looking at what Marco Zanini's doing at Schiaparelli, his last collection, again, was an homage to individuality. It was almost an homage to the different collections, the collective collections of Elsa Schiaparelli. And for this one, for his Sophomore collection, I think he'd moved beyond that kind of deferential homage and decided just to have a party. And this jacket is very much about that. It's about that kind of exuberance, which again has always been about the house of Schiaparelli and about what Elsa wanted to do. A lot of people said she was the funniest woman who had no sense of humour, and these were kind of funny clothes, they're humorous clothes, but I don't think they're intended for you to laugh at them. That's the interesting thing. No,
it might be a tinsel matador jacket, but it's also very beautiful. I mean, from the way each of the pom-poms is a different shape, and the embroidery like eyes, and it's got, yeah, it has sense of carnival, matador, lots of things.
I think as well, you can get away with that tightrope walk between the ridiculous and the sublime with couture, because the workmanship will always push it to a level beyond anything comparable in ready-to-wear. You can almost do things that are more ridiculous in couture, because the technique in itself is a justification.
So it would be, you can use any material in couture and it will always be extraordinary and beautiful, because there's a truth in the actual making that allows things to be at their most beautiful. Is that right? So it could be concrete, as it was the concrete embroideries at Chanel, or it can be here where these are. It's tinsel, but I'm not quite sure what tinsel's made of.
But I'm wondering if it's tinsel in the way that she used rhodophane, that glass fabric in the 30s.
Or cellophane.
So again, it's always been a part of the house of Schiaparelli to push those materials, to use unexpected materials, to use means of
But that's what Charles James did too, though.
It's that idea, I guess, and that old-fashioned idea, in a sense, of couture being the vehicle for the laboratory for ideas, like Elsa Schiaparelli said it always was. This idea of it being a place where you can advance and can do modern things. And I don't think there's any reason that even in the 21st century, couture can't do that. It shouldn't. It is a bastion of tradition, but it shouldn't be held in the past.
I think what you said, actually, couture can move forwards in a much braver and make a greater sound than ready-to-wear can, just because of its workmanship being per piece rather than multiples and factories.
We're done.